A Game of Billiards by Alphonse Dado. Even veterans are exhausted after 2 days fighting, especially if they have passed the night, knapsacks on their backs, standing in torrents of rain. Yet for 3 mortal hours they had been left to wait in Podme along the highway, in the mire of rain-soaked eels. Heavy with fatigue, weakened by the effects of previous nights, their uniforms drenched, they press together for warmth and support. Here and there, leaning upon a comrade's knapsack, a man falls asleep, standing, and upon the relaxed faces of these men, overcome by sleep, may be read more plainly than before the traces which weariness and privation have made. In the mud and rain, without fire, without food, overhead the sky heavy and lowering, around them, on every side, the enemy. Their cannon, mouths turned toward the woods, seem to be lying in wait. The machine guns from their hiding places stare fixedly at the horizon. All is ready for an attack. Why is none made? What are they waiting for? They await orders from headquarters, but none come. And yet it is only a short distance to headquarters, to that beautiful Louis XIII chateau, whose red brick walls, washed by the rain, are seen halfway up the hill, glistening through the thickets. Truly a princely dwelling, well worthy of bearing the banner of a Marshal of France. Upon an artificial pond, which sparkles like a mirror, swans are swimming, and under the pagoda-shaped roof of a large aviary, peacocks and golden pheasants strut about, spreading their wings and sending their shrill cries through the foliage. Though the owners of the house have departed, nowhere is there a perceptible sign of that ruin and desolation which war brings in its train. Not the smallest flower dotting the lawn has been destroyed, and it is indescribably charming to observe. Such evenly trimmed shrubbery, such silent avenues of shade, yet so near the battlefield. The scene is peaceful. Were it not for the flag floating from the top of the roof and the sight of 2 sentinels before the gate, one would never believe headquarters were here. In the dining room, whose windows front the entrance of the chateau, is seen a partly cleared table, bottles on cork, tarnished empty glasses resting upon the wrinkled cloth, in short, every indication that a repast is ended. The guests have departed, but in a side room loud voices are heard, peals of laughter, the rolling of billiard balls and the clinking of glasses. The marshal has just started upon his game, and that is why the army is waiting for orders. Once the marshal has begun, the heavens might fall, but nothing on earth will hinder him from finishing his game. For if the mighty soldier has a single weakness, it is his fondness for billiards. There he stands, as grave as though a battle had begun, in full uniform, his breast covered with decorations, his repast, the grog he has drunk, and the excitement of the game animate him. His eyes sparkle and his cheekbones are flushed. About him gather his aides of camp, most assiduous in their attentions, deferential and overcome with admiration at each of his shots. When the marshal makes a point, they lunge towards the mark. When the marshal desires drink, each one rushes to prepare his grog. Such a rustling of epaulettes and panaches, such a rattling of crosses and aiguillettes. How these flunkies bow and smile! What elegance and charm of manner! And such embroideries, so many new uniforms in this lofty chamber, carved in oak, opening upon parks and courts of honor. It reminds one of these autumns of Compiègne, and makes him forget for a moment those figures in muddied cloaks gathered yonder in the roads, making such sombre groups as they waited rain. The marshal's adversary is a staff cutting.
He is little Pectin with curls, laces, and light gloves. He is an excellent shot at billiards, and could beat all the marshals on earth. But he understands his chief, and exercises all his skill in playing, so that he shall neither win nor seem to lose too readily. Evidently an officer with the future. Beware, Captain. The marshal is 5 points ahead. If you can complete the game as you have begun it, your promotion is surer than it would be were you standing outside with the others, beneath those torrents of water. It would be a pity, too, to soil that fine uniform. The game is fascinating. The balls roll, graze past, they rebound. Every moment the play grows more interesting. A flash of light is seen in the sky, and the report of the cannon is heard. A heavy rumbling sound shakes the windows. Everyone starts and casts an uneasy glance about. The marshal alone remains unmoved. He sees nothing, hears nothing, for leaning over the table, he is about to make a magnificent draw shot. Draw shots are his forte. Again that flash, again. From the cannon, fresh reports and closer to ever. The aides of camp run to the window. Are the Prussians attacking? Let them, says the marshal, chalking his cue. Your turn, Captain. The staff glows with admiration. Turenne, sleeping on the gun carriage, was nothing compared to this marshal, calmly absorbed in his game at the moment of action. But the tumult increases. The rattling of the machine guns mingles with the blast of the cannon and the rumbling of steady volleys. A reddish cloud, dark at the edges, rises from the further end of the lawn. All of the rear of the park is ablaze. Frightened peacocks and pheasants shriek in the aviary. Arabian horses in their stalls scent the powder and rear in terror. At headquarters, a general commotion begins. Dispatch follows dispatch. Messengers arrive at a gallop. Everywhere they are asking for the marshal, but the marshal remains unapproachable. Nothing in the world could hinder him from finishing the game once begun. Your play, Captain, but the captain is distracted. He loses his head, forgets where he is, and he makes 2 successive runs which almost win the game for him. The marshal is furious. Surprise and indignation mark his features. At this very moment, a horse gallops into the courtyard at full speed. An aide of camp, covered with mud, forces the sentry, makes one bound over the stone steps, crying, "Marshal! Marshal!" The marshal, red and swelling with anger, appears at the window, cue in hand. Who is there? What is it? Is there no sentry there? But marshal... Oh, yes, later. Let them wait for my orders, in God's name, and the window closes with a bang. Let them wait for his orders. That is exactly what they are doing, those poor fellows. The wind drives rain and grape-shot in their faces. Battalions are slaughtered, while others stand useless, bearing arms, unable to understand why they remain inactive. They wait for orders. But men may die without orders, and these men die in hundreds, falling behind bushes, groping in trenches in front of that great silent chateau. Even after their death, the great shot continues to lacerate their bodies. From those gaping wounds flows a silent stream, the generous blood of France. Above, in the billiard room, all is excited as on the battlefield. The marshal has regained his advantage, and the little captain is playing like a lion. 17, 18, 19. Scarcely time to mark the points. The sound of battle grows nearer and nearer. The marshal has but one more point to play. Already shells are falling in the park. One has burst in the pond. The glassy sheen reddens, and a terrified swan is seen swimming amid a whirl of bloody plumage. And now the last shot. And then deep silence. Only the sound of rain falling. Only an indistinct rumbling noise at the foot of the hill, and along the muddy roads a sound like the tramping of hurrying herds. The army is utterly routed. The marshal has won his game.